Mike Caulfield has asked us for some help, and he has created a new custom GPT inside of ChatGPT. And the way that we access it is by clicking on Explore and then searching for Well-Grounded, which is the name of it. I'm reading from Mike Caulfield's description in his video explaining to us how to use this tool and inviting us, requesting us to experiment with us and give him some feedback. He writes, before you call something true or false, before you dismiss or endorse a point of view or a tweet or an op-ed, you have to understand the argument you found your way into. The Well-Grounded app in ChatGPT's GPT store shows you how to analyze dozens of arguments you come across in everyday life, assess their weaknesses and strengths, and what additional information you should determine to assess their validity. Let's go see what he's built and let's experiment with it like he's asked. So analyzes claims and arguments presented in screenshots. That was the other thing I didn't understand even after watching his video. Now, to be fair to myself, I read my RSS feeds pretty late at night. I mean, for me, not for probably most people, but I didn't realize it was exclusively screenshots. And it's using the Toulmin method to better understand assumptions and flaws in reasoning. So I'm going to click Start Chat, and then now I have an opportunity to upload a screenshot. Now, before I upload it, let me show you what I'm uploading and why it is of interest to me. It was literally the first thing I thought. I thought, oh my gosh, this is exactly what the kind of thing that Mike would want us to experiment with. At least I assume he would. So this is a screenshot of a Bluesky post, and it is intelligence officials are starting to leak to me now, or to me too. Here's a memo Defense Intelligence Agency personnel received instructing them to suspend observances, including Holocaust Remembrance Day, MLK Day, Juneteenth. And there are other observances that are listed here. I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to choose Upload File, and that file is sitting on my desktop. This is with the Bluesky post. And I'm going to upload it, and it will be doing its thing. Let's see what it had to say about this screenshot. The claim being made, the Defense Intelligence Agency is suspending observances of significant cultural and historical events, including Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Juneteenth, and Holocaust Remembrance Day, as part of an initiative to comply with the new executive orders targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And then the evidence being provided is a memo from the DIA. The attached memo states that the agency will pause all activities related to special emphasis programs and related activities and events effective immediately as part of implementing executive orders. The memo includes a list of observances impacted, such as Black History Month, Women's History Month, and Holocaust Remembrance Day. The source of this memo, so now we're getting to more of the SIFT model, is tweeted by journalist Ken Klippenstein, who claims to have received the document from intelligence officials. Now we get to backing for evidence, documentation, the memo itself. The memo appears to be an official DIA document with a date. It's saying appears to be. At this point, we don't know if it actually is. And details consistent with internal communication. Credibility questions. This is where we'd have to build upon what this particular chatbot can do for me. Is the memo authentic? One thing I can try and will try, but not probably part of this video because I don't want it to get too long, but is the memo authentic? Could it have been altered or taken out of context? Has the DIA or the federal government confirmed or denied its authenticity? These are so good. That's amazing. Yeah, more for me to build on. And then reporting, Ken Klippenstein is known for covering leaks and government documents. By the way, I just saw this morning, And I specifically set it aside to not do a single bit other than take those screenshots and also have some feels about it that I won't share here either. But I didn't do anything on it because I wanted to save it for this. Credibility questions: is Klippenstein's source reliable? What verification processes, if any, did he employ to confirm the document's authenticity? And then warrant: suspending observances of cultural and historical events is a direct consequence of implementing executive orders aimed at curbing DEI-related activities. And the backing for the warrant assumes the executive order can mandate such pauses or provide a legal framework for these changes. Implied backing: legal authority of executive orders well documented. Observances tied to cultural or diversity related themes are included in DEI. Generally accepted. This is implied backing. Legal authority is well documented. Of executive orders, maybe broadly speaking, not the specific one, maybe. And then generally accepted that these two things go together. These observances are part of DEI programming. It sounds like the argument that is a generally accepted argument. And then the memo accurately reflects executive directors and DIA's interpretation of them. That is implied but not verified. Rebuttal. Now let's see what might not support it. I don't know if support's the right word to use here, but I'm trying. Authenticity and context. If the memo is unauthentic or misinterpreted, the claim that DIA is suspending such observances may not hold. Federal policy. The memo specifies that federal holidays remain unaffected. This might indicate that the pauses are procedural and applied to observances beyond mandated days off. I don't exactly know what that means. I'm also looking at the clock because this is already getting longer than Mike's video just to explain the tool. Scope of executive orders. The relationship between the executive orders and the suspension of cultural observances needs clearer justification. Boy, is that ever the theme of this last week. So could the DIA be acting conservatively in interpreting the orders, or does the memo reflect broader federal intent? Now that makes perfect sense to me, what's being argued there. Okay, here's our summary. You can kind of check some of my own understanding along the way. The argument relies on a memo allegedly from the DIA, corroborated by a journalist's report claiming observances of significant cultural events are paused due to executive orders. While the memo provides direct evidence, its authenticity and context of the executive orders require verification, which that makes sense to me, and I already plan on doing a reverse image search, and I did already get a screenshot of just the memo in case this is a better reverse image search. The memo does not definitively establish whether the pauses are permanent, broadly intended, or specific to procedural events. The strength of the claim hinges on confirming the document's legitimacy, yes, and understanding the executive order's scope. And candidly, based on the last week we've been having, I'm not sure how fruitful. I feel more confident in my ability to assess the likelihood of the memo being legitimate than I currently feel about executive order scope, because there's so many lawsuits that have come out as a result of the huge flurry of executive orders. That one feels less like that's a doable thing for me in these areas. So additional evidence that might strengthen or weaken the argument: the authenticity of the memo, as already discussed, the specific text from the executive orders, which isn't a part of what was uploaded, obviously referenced in the memo, so that'd be another place to go. Broader reporting from other media outlets or whistleblowers, and that's certainly something that's coming up for me thinking about any next steps that I might take here. Historical context of similar DEI-related pauses under prior administrations. This takes me back to Mike always saying that we should be thinking about what is our purpose. Do I know what it is that I'm looking at? And then in terms of doing my own sifting, what is the purpose of it? And that would, to me, would really, I'd have to reflect on, to what degree do I, as a casual person with interest in this, want to do this research myself versus I think I would benefit a lot based on my in my own needs that I'm not really talking about, why this is of interest to me, but that would probably be the better route for me, just given that I'm not planning on, publishing on this topic, or at this particular point, even reposting it where I saw it on Bluesky. And then the reactions from affected communities, employees, or oversight bodies. No doubt there will be a lot of that coming if this is indeed seen to be a legitimate document. That I suspect that this morning's initial post will only be the beginning. And then it's telling me, did I see something wrong? I could correct it and then type rerun Toulmin analysis, which I don't see any need to rerun it.